Hello and welcome back to Watch Talk. Now, I'm going to talk about what watch tools you may want or need when you're if you want to embark on the pulling down and reassembly of watches. And this is all subject to a number of things. How involved you want to get with it, what exactly you want to do. Importantly as well is what sort of budget you have. But on a shoestring budget, you can still have the pleasure of pulling apart some watches, or you can buy the best tools possible. I just believe that you should buy the best tools that you can afford or justify. You might not justify having the best set of tweezers or screwdrivers, but you might justify having a good timing machine, for argument's sake, because you want accuracy in your watches. Anyway, it's a matter of preference, choice, and budget, I suppose. Anyway, let's get started. What you would need, obviously, is I've gone through my first video. Was probably boring as all hell, but just went through my basic setup, and I'll just pull you back a bit. Just pick up my tripod. My basic setup is IKEA cabinet, nothing special, with a top, a little bit of a bigger top made. And I didn't mention in my first article, but also here, because it wasn't wide enough, I just put a little filler in there as well. But anyway, so just an IKEA, you might see that there. I'm actually in the laundry. You can see this is a laundry, dryer, washing machine, nothing to hide here. Pop you down about there. So just in the laundry, nothing as special. I'll just move you up a little bit there as well. Sorry, my fingers are in the way, but you get the gist. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yep, there we go. So nothing special. With this, I'll just open up my cupboard and show you cupboard if you haven't seen the first video. It doesn't go for very long, 10-15 minutes. That's all my stuff in there. I will be pulling stuff out so we can have a look of what you will need. So what you'll need is, firstly, a decent light source. This is just an LED light. It's absolutely awesome. Let me just put this up like this. It's let me just grab it. Oh, that's probably going to be okay. Yeah, it sort of adjusts up and down. It's got two independent lights that you can move, have them both together, up, down, split them apart. Goes back about that far. Really, really good. Provides a good light. The only thing I must say that annoys me with this is that I'll just get you in the camera here. To turn it on, there's 4 different illumination settings, I suppose. So I'll just let me just push this one here a little bit. Not so you can see as well. Can you see? Can't see. Let me just. Right, push these little buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4. Different ones. I'll just 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Provides a good light. The only annoying thing is if your head bumps into this or you touch it, the stupid thing turns off. But hey, it is what it is. I suppose the takeaway from that is don't bump your head into it or your hand. Anyway, provides good light. You can up and down. Up and down, whatever you like. So in and out to give you maximum illumination that you're after. Let's just make sure it's on the maximum. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Over your workbench, always nice to have. Let me just move you down here. So that's the light. Decent light source will do you. Even a cheap fluoro, but these LEDs are really cheap as well. You can go as expensive as you like, I suppose. Mat. This is the Bergeon watch mat. It's rubber. Can you see it? It's rubber backed, and it's really nice. It's really nice to work on. Again, you can probably pick these up secondhand off eBay. I bought it brand new from eBay. Oh no, it cost me about, I don't know, it was a little bit expensive actually. I think it's probably about $30 US. It is what it is. There was also another one that I'll just pull out and show you. Maybe not. There was another one that I bought. It was a stick-on one. Didn't like it that much, but it was a little bit cheaper. But decent mat, even a normal table mat will suffice. You don't have to go spending a lot of money. Anyway, moving right along. Tweezers. I'll get some boxes out. You know what I'll do? I'll take out all my boxes, and then we'll slowly go through them one by one. How about that? We'll do it in sections, hey? Yeah, do it in sections. Now, sorry, I'm going to be going backwards and forwards because I'm using an iPhone here, and you know, it's going to be what it's going to be, isn't it? Right. So I like labeling my boxes because, you know, I know some people say OCD, I just say organised. Anyway, choose your own adjective. Tweezers, movement hits, and again, my thought is there's two tools that you're going to be using 98% of the time when you're working on watches, and that is tweezers and your screwdrivers. I would say buy the best screwdrivers and tweezers you can afford or justify. It just makes it a pleasure to work with. I've got a cheap pair of, if I can just find them. I'm sorry I'm scratching around a bit here. I should have been a little bit more organised, right? But as I said, I'm not a professional. I'm just someone who's got half an idea or just about enough to be dangerous. Can't find my old screwdriver. I had an old set of screwdrivers. They will pop up. They've got to be in here possibly. Old set of screwdrivers, I reckon I paid about, I don't know, $20, $25 for them 15 odd years ago. They're okay, but I just tend to find that I just haven't got that feel. You know, the finish of them is a bit, you know, average. Well, I bought these ones here, Bergeron ones. These ones are really nice. There's the model number there. Now, I'll just let you know that I've actually as well, a little while back, I signed up for the TZ, Time Zone Watch School. Did that because I thought, they give you notes and, you know, working on movement. You can buy a set of tools, and I ordered their level 1 toolkit, which came with a lot of the tools that you'll see here today. It didn't come with these screwdrivers though. It came with a set of Bergeron screwdrivers, a good set of Bergeron screwdrivers, mind you. But there was only 9 in the packet, and I wanted the 10th one because it's a 3mm one, and I thought, well, you know, it's nice. And that one came on a carousel, and I wanted a pretty box because it's easier to store in my cupboard. But this set of Bergeron ones, they don't really like swapping out stuff, because you buy the kit and it's worth a few $100s for the kit, which gets you all this sort of stuff. They don't like swapping it out, but for an extra $60, I upgraded to these ones here that are, I think, stainless steel as well. That's all the sizes it's got. In a nice little box. So I just paid the extra $60 US, right, to get these. So I think these screwdrivers here are, how much they set me back, I think, in the kit, because you get a better deal if you buy the kit, right? But I think these screwdrivers on their own, they're about, I think about $160 US, which is expensive, right? You know, it's about 200 plus Aussie dollars. But you buy a set of screwdrivers, they're just so nice to work with. And I'll open them up and I'll show you. Just find the cheap ones, just, you know, I've got some other really, really cheap ones, like I said. And, you know, when you go to undo a screw and it's really tight, they start slipping because, you know, I think what happens is, let me just open it, because I'm dribbling on a bit here, aren't I? But you'll get used to it. I'll grab a big one. What you'll find is that, and I'll just, you know what I'll do? I'll open up a packet of these. Yeah, and also with these ones here, I get this glare coming in from this window from the backyard. So I apologise for that. But with this box, and I'll just show you the box. It's really pretty, right? You know, you get all the 10 screwdrivers ranging from 0.5 up to 3mm. And then you get, you know, a set of spare bits. I think the bigger the bit, the less bits you get. I think for the bigger ones, you're going to get 2 of each spares, and for the smaller ones, you get 4. I don't know. I've never opened it up, but let me just open this one up. I don't know how it comes apart. It unscrews or pops. That pops off. Yeah, and there's, Yep, there is. There are two, right? So here we go. There you go, the two. And what I tend to find with the others, with the cheap screwdrivers, they tend to have like a cylindrical. Let me just get you a cylindrical shaft, right, like that. So when you put them into the screwdriver and do them up via, there is a little grub screw. Where's the grub screw? Little grub screw there. Let me just. When you are undoing, putting a bit of torque on a screw, these can slip. So the better sets, and I don't know whether some of the cheap ones do it as well, but the better sets have got, see that little, it's cylindrical obviously, but they've got this little flat bit. And when that flat bit goes in, it goes in, I don't know, I've never changed one of these out, but obviously just slide straight in. You line up that flat bit where that grub screw goes when you do it up. It obviously stops it from slipping. Now I did have a really, really old cheap pair of, and they were just completely round like that, right? They didn't have that little flat. And what I did is I just took it out to the garage, got the file on it, and got the file and fold it flat. So I sort of created my own thing before I knew that they sold them like this. But that was back in the day when I had no idea, and now I've got a little bit more than no idea. So anyway, those two there, spare parts, great. Let me just, now that I'm in the mode, I'll grab a pack of the small ones, have a look. Hopefully there's 4 in there, or else they've made a liar out of me. Oh, there's only 2 as well in there. Bunch of liars. They said there was going to be 4. Anyway, 2 in there. And again, these ones here are the 0.6s. 0.6 or 0.06? 0.6, I think. Yep. No, or 0.06. What are they? Of mil. 0.6, I think. And again, those ones there, you're not going to see, this is far too small, but they have got the, maybe you can, well, if I hold it from the right end, you probably see it. They've got the flats on them as well. So even to the very, very small ones, they've got the flats on there so they don't spin in the body of the screwdriver. But like I said before, 98% of your work's going to be done with the screwdrivers and with the tweezers. So these ones here just got a really, really nice feel. And if you're on a really tight budget, I still would recommend buying really good screwdrivers. But instead of having the whole set, like that, just buy, to be honest, you probably only use, 3, maybe 4 of the sizes. I think the ones I tend to use the most are these ones here, which are 1.2s, are they? 1.2s? Yeah, 1.2s. The black ones, which are the 1s, and these ones here, the yellows, just for little things. And every now and again, if I'm, and to be honest, I've only pulled apart a handful of movements, so I am no expert on anything. But I have used, I think, the 3mm one just to undo that cheap Chinese movement that I pulled apart a week or so ago. The rotator, the rotor for the soft winding mechanism, I'll use the big one for that. But these are the sort of, so I would suggest justify your budget and get yourself a decent set. If you don't want to get all of them, just get 3 or 4 that you'll need. Anything from say 0.8 to 1.2 is probably enough that you need. But a good set of screwdrivers, and you know what, guys, they just got a really good weight about them. They just feel nice. The cheap ones, and I'll as I'm digging in, I'll probably find my crappy ones. They just feel nice. They just finish nice. They feel nice. This little top bit here rotates, and it just when you're undoing a screw, the last thing you want is for this to be really notchy and not smooth. I mean, could you imagine, pulling off one, doing the screw for a balance, the balance cock screw, and it just jarring on you, or grabbing, and you slip, and this will go straight into the hairspring. Mate, you would be really, really, there'll be profanities coming out left, right, and centre. Let me tell you, I haven't had the misfortune of doing that, but I can just imagine, especially if you've got an old movement and you just stuff up that hairspring, you would be absolutely cursing. Or scratch a nice engine turned bridge. You'd be really annoyed with this. So they've got a really good feel. Anyway, I'm not going to go on. I'll probably go on too long about them. Decent set of screwdrivers. They are important. I would say don't get all the bells and whistles, other stuff. Get a good set of screwdrivers. Right, that aside, moving right along. Tweezers, right? Now, although this is my tweezers box, it's got a lot of other stuff apart from this. Because this is the first box I grab out, is my tweezers and my screwdrivers. I've got stuff in here that I just get out just to start doing work. Like there's a movement here, an old Seiko movement that I bought. Oops. Oh, just to make sure there's no movement in there, boys and girls. That is new. That's just the case. This is just an old Seiko that I bought that I want to rip apart. It's an old 6106 movement, 6106C, I think it is, Seiko movement. Really old eBay, $50 job. Want to pull that apart and have a bit of a crack. Apparently it's working. So hopefully I can get this how it came in a Matchbox. How Aussie is that? That's great. So that's something that I'm going to. So I've got stuff in my tweezers. I might just raise this up a little bit, eh? Yeah. Oh, look at that. Look at those props. Right. So in my little tweezers box, I'll have. I've got like my finger cots in here. Things that, like I said, things that I'm going to work on. Got an old movement. That's the old Chinese movement. I talked about briefly in my first vid, mate. And I know absolutely nothing right about watchmaking, but do not, if you're going to pick up anything from these videos, do not buy one of these movements if you're learning, unless you want to just pull it apart, watch things fly around the air, and just have a bit of a crack, because these are not designed to put back together. I did actually buy it, then I watched a video on a guy that was putting one together, and he reckons that when he put it together, it took him 5 hours, I think he said, to get that main bridge on, because unlike a semi-decent movement, there are a number of bridges where, the train bridge will have their own, and sometimes the train bridge will have its own. There'll be a separate bridge for the center wall, for argument's sake, and a separate bridge for this. This one here, and like I said, I watched enough. I should have known better. And I'm always really careful if I pull apart a movement, and I've only pulled apart, like I said, a handful, but I'm always careful to, wind down the mainspring, obviously, because you don't want bits flying. Well, on this one here, I had no idea how it worked. And before I watched the video, I thought, oh, this is okay. I've watched hundreds of videos. I've got half an idea. My brain ticks mechanically. I'll be able to get this apart. So, and I took it all apart. No worries. Took off this rotor, and see that big screw there, the 3mm one worked perfectly in there. Took off the rotor, and then normally you take off a bridge, and that's normally the mechanism, I should say, or the assembly for the. Let's get this in focus a bit. Is the assembly for the self-winding. Well, I should have looked a bit harder, but because I didn't, I just undid those 3 screws, and there was power in the in the train. And as I undid those 3 screws and just went to lift that bridge, there was watch bits flying in the air. It was raining watch bits. There was, I think I picked up every single piece. I don't think I've left anything out, because I did put it back together, and it is actually working. Look at that. Let me just wind it up a bit. See that? See, it is working. So and I'll chuck in a few like that. I'll chuck in a few Aussie terms, because if you're an Aussie, you'll get them. If you're not an Aussie, well, I'll teach them to you. Chuck in a couple of Aussie terms for you. But like I said, I am not a watchmaker or an engineer by any means of anyone's imagination. I am what I technically call a guy with an interest and a little bit of a mechanical mind, but I'm a backyarder. And by backyarder, I mean someone who's an amateur. But yep, see, it's working, ticking away. So I got it back together, but I think I lucked out of this one when I actually put it, I think I found all the pieces. Whatever pieces I didn't find aren't detrimental to the working of this watch anyway. But I lucked out, I think, when I put on the, when I lined it all up and put it back together, it sort of went together. The bridge, another guy on the other YouTube video, he said that it took him 5 hours to get together. It probably took me about, like I said, took me about, I don't know, 10 minutes, I reckon. Maybe 10 minutes, under 10 minutes. It was just, another Aussie, I jagged it. By jagging, I mean I fluked it. It was an absolute fluke. Got that in. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend buying one of these cheap movements to practice on, because you'll get frustrated really, really quickly, and you'll probably throw hobby away. But you know, like I said, this was landed about $25 Aussie. I think $25 Aussie landed. So these movements are basically movements that when if they stop working, you throw them out and buy another one. I mean, to go to a professional watchmaker to service that would probably cost you $100. Not worth it unless it has sentimental value, I suppose. Then you would probably pony up the cash and get that done. But it's in my box. I've got the Twiz. I haven't got the Twiz yet. Another cheap movement I bought. This one is a day date one. Again, I think it's very similar to the other one. I'll have a crack at pulling that apart just for laughs. But in this box, this is the I'll get to the Twizzers in a sec, obviously. This is the I told you that I bought the Time Zone Level 1. I signed up for the course, and that's the watch that you get. Well, there's a variety of different watches that you can choose. So that's a bit dirty. A number of different watches you can choose. I chose this one here. It's got the the glass case back. So I'll pull this one apart. I'll pull this one apart next, so you can get a bit of a look at. This is the simple movement, and you probably notice why isn't the crown in there. When I pull it apart, I'll tell you my story about why the crown's not in there. The crown is somewhere here. Here it is here. I'll tell you a little story about that. Measure twice, cut once. But yeah, that didn't really go well for me. So that one's a nice move. Actually, nice Swiss movement. Really nice. It's a Sellita movement, Swiss movement. Really nice actually for what it is. So anyway, that's in there. I've got a few little things cleaning, but tweezers. Right, let's go into the important things. Tweezers. I'll pull that out as well. All you really need is a couple of pairs of tweezers. Again, you know, these can range from anywhere from, you know, I suppose you can buy tweezers for, you know, you can buy a set of 10 for like $10, I suppose. And then you can get ones that are $40, $50 each. Again, I'm a huge subscriber for Get really good ones because, again, they've got a good feel, anti-magnetic, just a pleasure to work with, good quality. Tweezers, you know, you see some of the guys on the internet, they've got, you know, 100 pairs of tweezers. To be honest, a couple of pairs is all you need. I'll open up these ones first. These ones are, you see it? Dumont. These are nice. These are number 2s, I think. Yep, number 2s. Number 2s. Can you see it? Number 2 there. Yeah, number 2s. These are nice and fine. You'll be using these for about, I don't know, 98% of the time. Really nice, really, you know, look at them. It's worth investing in a decent pair of tweezers. Now, I'm not saying that this brand here is the best brand. I mean, I think Bergeron makes them as well. I mean, look, any decent pair, but then again, you can buy a cheap pair. If you don't like the feel of them, then you ditch them and you buy a set of good ones. But these ones here are nice. The number 2s, they're the ones that you'll need. The other ones, and this all came with in the TZ Level 1 kit. Not that I'm promoting the TZ, but look, to be honest, no, I am promoting. I think it's a good course to do, give you a bit of insight, and they give you, you know, some notes and stuff. And the toolkit is more than good enough. Again, this comes in the kit as well. Dumont again, number 5s. Can you see that? That glare that I'm getting from that window is really annoying me. But anyway, number 5s. These ones are really fine. These ones are really fine, and I'll just compare them to the number 2s. See that? These ones on the bottom are the number 2s, and the ones on the top, let's get some, are the number 1s. They're really fine. Now these ones here are more, the number 5s are more for, you know, hairspring type work, I think, you know, more delicate work. But I do find that these number 5s are really good for sometimes, and I'll show you in the movement that I'll pull apart the Sellita movement. See how fine they are. That sometimes you just need to get into these little, you know, tight bits, and these are really good for that. Some of the screws in the bridges are sort of like countersunk, and they're really hard to get in with the number 2s, and the number 5s just get into it a lot better. I tend to use Rodico to get them out anyway because it's just easier, but these are good. The only problem with these is because they're so fine, they're really, really easy to bend, and I don't know whether I grabbed the screw, you know, really, really tight with it, or whether I just knocked them on the bench. I don't know, but when I went to pick something up, the ends of them, instead of obviously coming together like that, they'll like this. They'll bend out like this. So I just, because they're really soft, I just bent them back, but I don't know why. But be very careful with these. But good to have, nice set of 2 pairs of tweezers. That's what you need. 2s and 5s are pretty fine. I know there's lots of different numbers. What I also would recommend is a pair of, a pair of brass tweezers. Now these are the Bergeron ones as well. I think they're a double A or whatever it is. I don't know what what's that? Whatever that is. 70292 AMGF. These are nice. And these are probably about the same size nibs or as the number 2s. As you can see, they're very, very similar. I just find that these ones just got a really nice feel to them, and it just alleviates or avoids, scratching stuff, because the brass is obviously a softer metal than the stainless, so that just tends to be a bit easier on the parts. And if you've got a really nice shiny screw and you don't want scratches on it, or if you slip on a plate, you probably are less likely, I won't say it'll avoid it, but you're less likely to get a scratch on it. So I'll probably use the brass ones, 90% of the time, as opposed to the number 2s. But yeah, I really like the feel of these. I really do. Brass ones, again, they're a little bit expensive. They're probably about, expensive, $40 or whatever they are. It is what it is, you know what I mean? And then I got some other ones here. I got some other just cheap ones. I bought a tool off somebody, and he chucked in a set of tweezers. What are these ones? Does anyone know what these are? I don't know how good or how bad they are. These ones are nice as well. They've got a really nice. I never use them. It's probably the second time I've taken them out of their little packet. Really nice looking, aren't they? Pretty modern with all this sort of stuff, and gives you a bit of grip. But comes in a nice. Well, look at this. Melosa Medical. Jeez. Well, I did buy, I think, a pretty expensive tool off this guy, so he might have thought that this guy's dropped a bit of money with me, so I'll send him a screwdriver, not screwdrivers, tweezers. These ones here, I've had these ones here. This is double A's. I've had this one for years. Again, I don't know how good they are. Stainless steel, non-magnetic. I can't remember what I paid for these, but again, these are actually not bad. They're not a bad little feel. Again, I've had these for years. They're just sitting here. I don't particularly use them. Personal preference, and these are the ones. I don't know why I bought these. I thought they looked cool at the time. These are a spring-loaded. I think I grabbed them so I can hold stuff in them. So you just open them, and they sort of stay shut, so they can hold stuff. I don't know. I probably paid $10 for these 15 years ago, so I've never used them for. I don't think I've used them for anything. And then in here, just like I said, in here I keep other things that I'm going to use all the time, like finger cots. I've got my finger cots in there, and I've got some pegwood in there as well. I've got some pegwood. I sort of got a bit of pegwood, a bit of Rodico on there, which is always good to grab little bibs and bobs. On the back of that, I sort of shape these up like a bit of a shovel, so you can sort of get under things or hold things down with. Then I have got another one here that I shape that's, to a point with a flat bit, and I flatten off the side there. The reason I do that is just when you're doing up like a bridge, just apply a little bit of pressure on that. The flat bit just flat. Then I've got some. I just cut these pegwoods down from a full stick. Just no use having a stick, 20 centimeters long. These ones here I do up to a pretty fine point. These ones are not a very fine point because they've been used and abused a little bit, but I tend to sharpen them up really sharp. Now I know people use a blade to do that. I get out to the garage and I chuck these in my my cordless drill. Put them on my cordless drill, and as the drill is turning like this, I get it on my grinder or my belt sander. And as the belt sander or the grinder's going, I just this is turning in the chuck of the of the drill to get a really fine point on it. But anyway, that's nor here nor there. So that's my box out, and some pithwood. Pithwood is good, and the pegwood good for cleaning and moving things around with. Pithwood is good for cleaning your tweezers, and that's why I've got it in there. Clean your tweezers and your screwdrivers if you got any oil or debris on them. That's really soft, a really soft timber, and that's pretty cheap. You buy a packet of these for a couple of bucks. That's that. Put all them away, and then I'll just put. So that's my my tweezers box. I'll go through the rest of them a bit. I've just spent a bit more time on the tweezers, I suppose, because there's other stuff in there as well. I think the tweezers and the screwdrivers are really important. And I know we've dragged on 30 minutes. Well, could have had a whole watch pulled apart, put back together in 30 minutes. Maybe not me, but someone else would have. This nice little tool, I've got it in here as well because this is a little tool that you when you're ripping apart a mainspring barrel and you want to put it back together. I know you can close them up using a couple of pairs of tweezers and clamping it. I just find that this is nice. You sit the mainspring barrel on there, put the cap on, and then you just put this on top, push it down, and it snaps into place. So it's all nice, flat and even, and it's nice. A couple of bucks from eBay. You don't need to spend. I have seen them. The really expensive brand ones. $30-$40. I think I paid $10 for that landed. Doesn't need to be expensive. So that's my tweezers box out of the way. The other thing you will need is some sort of movement holder. In this one here, I've got my movement holder. You know what I'll do? I'll just prop it up. Just so it's got movement holders and stuff like that. So again, in the kit, you will get, if you buy the kit or not, these ones are probably like the industry standard, I think. These are the Bergeon 4040 or 4040. These are nice. This is actually a really nice movement holder. Has two sides to it. This one here for your average sort of movement. Then if you flip her over, it can accommodate a lot bigger watch, pocket watch, or some of these really big movements, I suppose. That one there's nice. What I also bought as well, this is like I said, the Bergeon 4040. This is made out of like an alloy, like an aluminium. There is the 4040P, which is again a Bergeon. It's exactly the same. The difference is this is black plastic. That's what the P stands for, obviously plastic. This is nice. It's easier, obviously easier on the parts because it's plastic, so it won't scratch up the parts or dent the parts being plastic. So I like that one as well. That one's quite nice. I sort of use these interchangeably. But one of the other ones that I actually bought secondhand, another Aussie term, absolute cracker, is this Leven. You see that? A bit of a Leven one. This one's old. I've got to chuck it in my ultrasonic and give it a clean. But this one here is really nice. I just find because it's got a little bit lower center of gravity, as you can see. A little bit lower, and it's just sometimes with this one here, not that I don't like it, I do like it, I use it a bit, but I've been using the Leven one a lot lately. It's just, sometimes if you've got a smaller movement in it, let's say you've got a movement in there that's, because this obviously moves in and out, right? You do it upright, and you've got your movement in there, then you're doing a screw up, doing up a screw on this side, and as you push down, a little bit, it'll just flip on you, and if you haven't got it in the movement holder tight enough, the movement will fling out, and you start cursing, and it's just a nightmare. So this one here, although it does slide in and out as well, because there's a lower center of gravity and it's a lot flatter, where this one here, see the points of contact? So if you had it opened up, see how that one there is wound in. It's a lot smaller. That one there is obviously bigger, so even when you do it up, it's got a larger footprint, so it's less, and because it's low, it's less likely to topple over. And if you're doing up a screw, so if you're doing up a screw, I just find this one's just a bit more stable now. It hasn't obviously got the depth, that the Bergeon one's got in it. But anyway, I've been using this one a lot lately. I actually quite like it. It's a nice, but movement holders again, don't have to go crazy and spend that sort of money. This one was second hand. I think I reckon I paid $10 for that, $10 US for that. just from a guy on the net. That one's quite nice. I like that one. Then this is the cheapest chips one. This one here. I've had this one for 15 years. I actually did use it the other day when I pulled apart that Chinese movement, because it just wasn't sitting. Just the movement wasn't sitting well in any of these. Just wasn't sitting because I had the rotor on there, and I was putting on some of the calendar works on the front, so I had it upside down. I had it the right way up, so the winding mechanism was on, and it just wasn't sitting well either in this one, but it sat okay in this, just so I can just get, just some of the calendar stuff on there. So that one there, I mean, again, a couple of bucks, they're not big dollars. Never used this case vise. This is pretty chunky. There we go. I've seen lots of people use these things here. I'm sort of in two minds on these things. They're not bad, but I just find it's a bit, I don't know. I just can't get used to it. But I have used it a couple of times, especially when you've got the automatic movement on there as well. But I just find the movement slides around too big, just annoys the crap out of me. But anyway, that there is a dial holder. It's got all these perforations in it. See, all these perforations in it, and you can probably accommodate just about every. If you've got dial feet on your dial, chuck it on that. At least if you put, whoa, just so you don't do that. And this was like a couple of bucks, right? Rather than putting the dial on a flat bench with dial feet up and he's soldered on. So, very easy to snap them off. So put it on one of those and then put a cover over it, just extra protection. This is a balanced tack. It's nice. It's basically when you take the balance off, the screw hole that, holds the balance cock on, you slide that on here and it keeps it nice, and then the hairspring sort of dangles down, and that's great. Again, I've got no idea about this sort of stuff. I'm not a watchmaker, obviously. I just get the heebie-jeebies when I put the balance on that and it's dangling on that hairspring. I'm just thinking, well, gravity obviously works down, and I don't like the spring, sort of hanging there for a prolonged. If you take it off and you want to have it off for maybe a couple of minutes, okay, but if you're going to work on the movement and come back to it tomorrow or the day after or the week later, hang it on that. Just doesn't sit right with me, and that's why I've got this little plastic case here. I'll put the balance in there. Normally tend to put it upside down as well, so the pivot on the balance staff is not sitting on it, but it's a good little tool to have. And I've picked this up. I watch lots of guys on YouTube, and I'll start naming them as well, because some of them are really, really good. There's a guy, he came up with a good idea, and I still have no idea about which screws are for what, within reason. So I just tend to separate everything. If I take a bridge off, the main bridge, the main gear bridge, I'll put all the screws together. And when I take the balance off, I'll put the screw for the balance cock on here, which is good, because then you know that even if I don't put the balance on here, I'll put the screw there, so I know that screw is for the balance, because that's one thing you don't want to get wrong. You don't want to get the wrong screw in there. So that's a good little idea I picked up from somebody on the net. And that's the whole idea about these videos. I mean, I'm probably not going to tell anybody anything they don't already know, but I think the more stuff you watch, the more stuff you pick up, and it just gives you that little level of confidence to think that, gee, what, I can do this. And I think if you pick up one or two things from me, great. If you don't, well, stop watching, I suppose. I don't know. Tell me to get stuffed and I will, and then I'll just become a viewer rather than anyway. So that's that one there. Again, I tend to go on a bit, but that's that. Then the next box I've got is cannon pinion tools. Again, you don't really need anything special to take the cannon pinion off. A pair of screwdrivers, a pair of tweezers will pop that off pretty okay. I bought the Bergeron one because I wanted the Bergeron one, and to be really brutally honest, I'm a little bit disappointed. It's got this, the way it works. I can't get this in it. The way it works is that you put this over the top of the cannon pinion, push this little lever, and what that does is that brings those jaws out, which it's like a clamp. So you've got your cannon pinion like this, and this is my scientific technical representation, right? That there is this goes over the top of the cannon pinion, pull the lever, it grips it, then you pull it off, right? Easy. I just find that sometimes this doesn't grip it well enough. And I've seen a video on fixing these to make them grab, you know, to pull them apart, and you just cut a bigger slit in it. But anyway, for the most part it works fine. But you know, anyway, it is what it is. I did buy one of these as well. This is Presto Cannon Pinion Remover. So this is the same. So it looks very, very similar to a hand remover, except it doesn't have that little spring bar there. And I think these ones here, because they're designed for, I think they're the Presto number 5. I think they are number 5 or number 6. Don't quote me on that, but because they are for the Cannon Pinion, I think that the jaws on here are a little bit, maybe from a more durable, toughened steel, so that it gets a better grip on it. But I've used these work okay. These work fine. I just get a bit nervous when you touch on the movement, but these work okay. And the other thing that I've got in here, what I've also got in now, this is my Canyon Pinion Remover. Canyon's Canyon, right? Not Canyon, but anyway. This is a Cannon Pinion Adjuster. I just thought this was really, really cool looking, so I bought it, and I get a 10, 20 bucks, whatever I paid. It's solid. It's really solid. It's probably nickel plated. So what you do with this is, if your Cannon Pinion is, you know, because it's obviously hollow, if it's stretched over time or been abused, or you've got another one, a replacement one, and it's just a bit too loose, you put it in here. You slide it on this pin, and then you obviously bring it, you know, whoops, let me just get, gee whiz, that was hopeless, wasn't it? So then you slide it on that pin, and then it'll find it's, because it's tapered, this little pin is tapered, if you see, it'll find its little home in there, I think. And this is, I'm not talking technically here, this is just what I believe. And then you obviously get it to the height where it sits comfortably, wind up, you know, so up and down here until you get comfortable. Then you just, you know, obviously if it's there, for argument's sake, tighten up this, that snugs up nicely. Cannon Pinion sitting there, and then these here, you wind up these, and they will actually pinch the Cannon Pinion just to tighten it up a bit. And that's the reason for this stem in the middle, is obviously so you don't crush the whole Cannon Pinion. Then it's, you know, renders it useless, obviously. So I thought that was super cool, so I bought that. Hopefully I never use it, because hopefully I never stuff up a Cannon Pinion. Right, so I don't know why I bother putting this stuff away, but it's just me. Right, so that's the Canyon Pinion tools. Whoopsie daisy. Right, done that.